I got a message to be on Fox News. I'll be damned if I'm passing that opportunity up.
They want to interview you because they want to know what the hell possessed you to shelter in place when the rest of the city got out days ago. All this woman cares about is how much attention and exposure she's going to get from being on the news. So, is my decision not to evacuate gonna get me more views? Do you think this is gonna drive up the engagement on my account? Can I get more followers? Can I make more money? And based on what I've seen, the answer to all of those questions is yes. Hello and welcome back for another episode of Influencer Insanity, where we cover all things social media and influencer culture. My name's Hannah, and today's topic is so outrageous that I'm kind of embarrassed for humanity that we're even having to discuss this, and that is a bunch of Florida-based influencers who lived in mandatory evacuation zones for Hurricane Milton, refusing to leave so that they could document their terrifying experience riding out the storm so that they can post it to TikTok for clout and views. When I heard that people were calling this storm talk, I just about lost my damn mind. I hate it here. Since when did defying evacuation orders for a life-threatening natural disaster so that you can post it on TikTok become a trend? This is kind of what I love the most about the Influencer Insanity series, is that the content calendar plans itself. This topic wasn't even on my radar, pun intended, because how was I supposed to know that one day there would be a catastrophic hurricane where influencers would intentionally put themselves in danger for attention? But here we are. The internet never disappoints, so I moved some things around in the schedule to make room for this unexpected topic. But first, a moment for today's sponsor, Typology. Typology is a line of French-made skincare that focuses on only keeping the essentials in their products. Their formulas are short, minimalistic, and made with over 80% ingredients of natural origin. They recommend a customized skincare routine fit specifically to you, which is great for people like me who know next to nothing about skincare. And something I had no idea existed, but Typology introduced me to, was tinted skincare that has completely changed my routine for the better. I basically don't wear makeup anymore. Everything you see on my face right now at this moment, aside from the false lashes and the mascara, is not makeup, it's Typology tinted skincare. And I've been using Typology in every single YouTube video for the past 4 months. And interestingly, I'm noticing a correlation in the number of comments I've been getting about how my skin appears to be glowing lately, which is so sweet, and I'm not here to gatekeep, so let me tell you about my holy grail tinted trio. First and foremost, my favorite product, the tinted serum. If you only try one product from Typology, let this be the one. I use the shade Light, and even though it feels counterintuitive, I just put a few drops right into my hands and apply it all over my face with my fingers, because remember, it's tinted skincare, it's not makeup. It's formulated with vitamin C, squalane, and aloe vera, and it leaves the most beautiful, glowy, hydrated sheen. I feel like it enhances your skin, not cover it up. But if you do have some areas you would like to cover, for me it's my dark circles, then I go in with the tinted concealer formulated with caffeine and niacinamide. Again, a little goes a long way, just applying it with my fingers, super easy. And then I apply my fake lashes with a little bit of mascara, and finally for the tinted trio, I use the lip oil. I have this in a few shades, but they just launched their new shade, Black Cherry, which I admit I was a bit apprehensive about at first because we all know I'm not a bold lip kind of girl. But remember, it's not makeup. It's a lip oil enriched with squalane, jojoba oil, and vitamin E, so the pigment is really subtle and natural, and after trying it, this is one of my favorite shades now. These are the three that I use the most consistently, but if I'm feeling a little spicy or if I'm filming a video, then I'll also use the glow drops that act like a highlighter, as well as the fortifying brow gel for the perfect no makeup look. If you'd like to give Typology a try, you can head to the description box, and if you shop over $40 using my link in the next week, Typology is going to give you a bottle of their Bi-Phase eye makeup remover for free. Thanks again, Typology, for sponsoring today's video. Here's a few pieces of quick context before we really get into it. Number one is that Hurricane Helene struck Florida on September 26th of 2024. It struck the Big Bend area of the state and continued up north to impact Georgia, the Carolinas, Tennessee, and Virginia. And then only 2 weeks later, on October 9th, Hurricane Milton made landfall near Sarasota, Florida, and it crossed the whole state headed east. These two hurricanes were incredibly close together, incredibly devastating, and to have two hurricanes hit the Gulf Coast back to back like that is really rare. The last time that happened was 2004. The second piece of context is that I live in Florida. This is like a local event for me. And the reason I even discovered the influencers were creating hurricane content is because I was stuck inside inside sheltering from the storm, and what else is there to do than rot your brain on TikTok, right? It should be noted though that I live on the east coast of Florida. The hurricane was projected to pass right over my city, but it had to cross the entire state before it got to us. It weakened quite a bit and we were not in an evacuation zone. We lost power very briefly in the middle of the night and part of our fence fell down, we discovered when we woke up in the morning, but thankfully those were the only impacts on our house and our family, which I'm very grateful for. And the third piece of context I want to throw in here is how locals tend to treat hurricanes. I'm not a native Floridian. We're only living here temporarily because my husband's in the military. And in our time living here, we've been through 3 hurricanes. So here's a bit of perspective as somebody who is a temporary Florida transplant. Locals, generally speaking, don't take hurricanes that seriously. Our first hurricane after moving here was Hurricane Ian. And I remember asking our local friends, like, where are we supposed to evacuate? What are we supposed to do? What's the protocol? Help us out. And I learned very quickly that the culture here is pretty much to ignore evacuation orders, to ride out the storm, stock up on alcohol, and throw a party. I remember being home and watching the local news for Hurricane Ian a couple years ago, and there were people like dancing and gallivanting on the beach, getting pelted with rain, and they were showing cars driving through the flooded streets and stuff. Like, people take hurricanes so unseriously. That is, until it's your house that gets destroyed, right? Then it's not so fun. Then it's not really a laughing matter. But I've heard so many anecdotes of people saying, well, I've lived here since I was a kid and nothing bad has ever happened. Or the storm always changes direction last minute, so there's no sense in evacuating because it's not going to matter anyway. Many people rely on their past experiences to predict future outcomes, which is not always wise when it comes to natural disasters because every single one is different. People are very comfortable saying, well, I've lived in this house for X number of years and it's always been fine. And it builds this false sense of security that bad things always happen to other people, but never to me, right? But this hurricane season felt different because Hurricane Helene, the first one in this story, proved how much damage could be done, particularly to Western North Carolina. But for the purposes of this video, we're going to be focusing on the Tampa Bay area because Tampa is one of those areas where people have gotten really comfortable and really secure in the idea that hurricanes just don't hit us here. They haven't had a direct hurricane hit in over 100 years, back in 1921. I found this map in an article on AccuWeather, and it's showing all the major hurricanes that have come within 100 miles of Tampa in the last 63 years. And as you can see, they all miss. It's like the Tampa Bay area has a force field around it or something. Even hurricanes that are forecasted to hit Tampa directly change course at the last second and barely miss it. So there's people that have lived in Tampa their entire lifetime and they've not had to deal with the severe aftermath of a hurricane, which is good. But again, it's created that false sense of security because here comes Hurricane Helene and it doesn't even hit Tampa. It hits 200 miles north in the Big Bend region, but thanks to the storm surge that it created, Tampa is now like 6 feet underwater. And then less than 2 weeks later, there's a new forecast about a bigger, even stronger hurricane, Hurricane Milton, headed directly for Tampa. So you can imagine how terrifying that news is for the locals. People's homes haven't even had a chance to dry out from Helene, and now we have to prepare for Milton, which is going to be even worse. It's almost like Helene was the warning sign people needed to take Milton seriously. Evacuation orders were issued for most of the counties on Florida's west coast, and thankfully most people did evacuate. They did listen, they did move farther inland because they saw firsthand just a few days ago all the flooding and destruction that's possible. And the last piece of context is that I know sometimes when people hear the word evacuate, you imagine like catching a flight out of state or getting in your car and driving hundreds of miles away to a hotel or something. But if you're living in a county with a mandatory evacuation order, then evacuating could look like going to the next county over to stay with a relative or something. I know that's not an option for everybody, but the term evacuation seems really severe when it doesn't have to be that big of a deal. Just get out of the direct path of the hurricane. You basically just want to get yourself out of the flood zones from the storm surges. You don't want to be trapped in your house when there's water flooding in. You don't want to be seeking shelter in a house that the wind is busting in all of your windows. You don't want to be stuck somewhere that emergency services can't get to you. You just need to move to higher ground. You just need to get out of the direct path of the hurricane, and in some cases that could mean just driving 30 minutes into another direction. Although I do recognize that is sometimes easier said than done. We have to acknowledge the impossible situation that evacuation orders can put a lot of people in. Because on one hand, evacuating is a privilege. The cost of travel is expensive, you might not be able to afford a hotel, gas can be hard to find because everybody's filling up and hitting the road, or your job might require you to stay in the local area, or maybe you don't have relatives you could go stay with. Sometimes people aren't given a true choice and they're forced to shelter in place even though it's dangerous. But for other people with time, with money, with resources, they do get a choice, and choosing to stay instead of evacuating is also a privilege. This might mean that you have enough food and water and supplies to ride out the storm. You might live in a new, well-built home with storm shutters and hurricane-proof windows and raised foundation. You might have a multi-$1,000 generator and enough gas to keep things running if your power goes out. You might even be able to afford towing your vehicles to higher ground or getting a storage unit that you move a bunch of your important valuables into. There are all kinds of reasons that go into the psychological decision-making process of choosing whether or not you're going to evacuate, and I wanted to read a piece from this article I found on Vox. This says, evacuation decisions are complex. They're multifaceted and they're personal. There's no single reason, but rather a combination of factors that really influence individuals and families, Millett tells Vox. She explains that these factors can range from money to past experiences with hurricane evacuations, to uncertainty about the forecast, to the perception that being at home might be safer, disaster fatigue, the exhaustive process of rebuilding, the lack of trust in lawmakers and officials, and everything in between can affect someone's decision not to obey evacuation protocols. Maybe all of these reasons don't apply to any one given person, but there's certainly a combination of them that influence people's decisions to or not to evacuate. But in this very unique circumstance of Hurricane Milton in the Tampa Bay area, it appears that there is another factor that goes into this decision-making process when it comes to influencers with a large social media following. The whole country already has its eyes on Florida because of Hurricane Helene, and now there's all this hype and buildup around Milton coming. So is my decision not to evacuate gonna get me more views? Do you think this is gonna drive up the engagement on my account? Can I get more followers? Can I make more money? And based on what I've seen, the answer to all of those questions is yes. Documenting their decision to ride out the storm and what that looks like and all the impacts it's having on their house has been an absolute content farm for influencers. Let's kick things off with Rich Concrete House Lady, as she has been affectionately referred to on TikTok. And if this means nothing to you, it's about to.
Well, this is really gonna piss you off. That's my house. That's why I'm not leaving. Because my husband built this house.
Oh.
My husband built this house commercial. It's residential, but it was built commercial grade. It is solid concrete. I don't give a fuck. All the people, oh, you're so rich. Oh, you're so rich. Oh my God. Whatever. Fuck you. My husband's a builder.
See? Rich Concrete House Lady. Pretty self-explanatory. She's essentially giving two huge middle fingers to the internet, saying my husband built this house out of concrete, it's a fortress, we're not evacuating, we'll be fine. Here's the issue though, the Gulf of Mexico is literally her backyard.
I'm on the third floor of my house Tuesday morning, 10 o'clock, giving you a view of how high we are here. And that's the Gulf.
That's the Gulf of Mexico.
It meets this body of water here called the River. And now I'll take you up. I'll take you upstairs so you can see the whole peninsula.
She lives on a little peninsula with water on three sides of her, one of them being the Gulf of Mexico that Hurricane Milton is literally coming at her from. This kind of seems like the last possible place you would want to be in a hurricane. And honestly, I think that's why her account and why these videos gained so much traction, because it was like, are you kidding me? That is the Gulf of Mexico. What are you doing? Why are you still there? The police are giving mandatory evacuation orders. Get out. And she was documenting what the weather was looking like every few hours as the storm was rolling in, almost in like a rage bait kind of way. Oh, here we are, 5 p.m. The storm is coming, the skies are darkening, and we're still here. We didn't leave. Here's a video she posted roughly 8 hours before Milton made landfall.
It's Wednesday, 1:20. The whole neighborhood is evacuated except one other family.
As they should
on
be.
The streets. And this is nothing. This is just like a rainy day. Low tide right now on the Gulf. Nobody's here, just us. We will move the truck after a little bit. This is the back. Same time, 1:20. Something's out there in the water, not sure what it is, but it's gonna get a lot worse. This is it so far. 1:20 Wednesday.
She reiterates that in a lot of her videos that she's posting. Here it is right now, but it's gonna get a lot worse. Yeah, we know. That's why everyone in the neighborhood is gone. She couldn't be in a worse position really, but she thinks everything's gonna be fine because her husband built this concrete house. Why she thinks she's gonna be fine is actually very perplexing and confusing to me, considering this is what her house looked like 10 days earlier after Hurricane Helene. Here's what the stairs at the front of her house should look like on a normal day, and here's what they looked like during Hurricane Helene. The storm surge came up at least 6 steps on her front staircase, and you can see her concrete house builder husband wading through the water, and it's like waist high on him. The Gulf of Mexico is literally at her doorstep. Talk about a waterfront property. And later on, she showed footage of the damage this did to the first floor of her house. From what I can tell, the first floor looks like it's mostly just a garage and workshop space, and at one point she goes over to a concrete beam, and she shows us that the water level on the first floor of her house was flooded to what looks to be like 3 feet maybe, and then she pans over to show that her Range Rover is on a lifted platform, and she says, oh, it didn't get to my car. Kind of another sign of privilege that you have something like this built into your garage to rescue your vehicles from hurricanes. I don't know if that's its intended purpose, but it came in handy in this instance at least. And I want to take a moment to interject this. I don't wish harm on anybody. It doesn't please me to see all this damage done to her house. It looks like a massive headache and a hassle to have to clean up, and that's really unfortunate. But the point of showing this is that it looks like they got about 3 feet of storm surge from Helene, and they're expected to get 8 to 12 feet of storm surge for Milton. So now you're talking like the entire first floor of your house is underwater. You could be trapped on the second floor and not be able to get out. That's dangerous. That's terrifying. You've already seen firsthand the flooding that is possible. Why are you not taking the second, more dangerous storm more seriously? It seems so counterintuitive, so reckless, so stupid. You have to ask yourself what the motivation is. Why would you willingly put yourself in danger and document every single step? Views, followers, attention, perhaps? She eventually turned off all the comments on her hurricane videos, likely because she received a lot of backlash in the comments urging her to evacuate. But even bad attention is good attention in the social media world. Her following has grown to over 400,000 people as a result of her documenting the hurricanes. Here's a look at her TikTok views before the hurricanes happened, like 30 to 40,000 views consistently. Then she documents Helene, which is now bringing in several 100,000 views, and her videos showing the actual flooding get just over 1 million views. I feel like we can let these videos slide because, to be fair, Helene wasn't even headed for this part of Florida. Tampa area natives haven't had an impact from a hurricane in over a century. This family probably didn't know at the time how bad it was going to be. They didn't think they had any reason to evacuate, so they didn't, and then they just happened to document it because they were still there. But then after Helene, just a few days before Milton, is when she posted that video saying, this is really gonna piss you off. We're still gonna stay for Milton. So now it's almost like she's taunting viewers, she's rage baiting them, she's trying to incite a reaction about how she's not evacuating for the second storm. She's in a mandatory evacuation zone and she's actively refusing to evacuate because she's planning to document the storm. Now she has seen how much engagement, views, followers this brings her. This is a perfect content opportunity. And sure enough, look at these views from her Hurricane Milton videos, a minimum of 2 million views on every single one, and capping out at over 13 million views on her most recent video that was posted as the hurricane was making landfall. Here's what some of those videos looked like.
It's getting really bad.
Alright, I'm not going live because I'm not going to do all the birthday, facial, whatever. I'm just going to video this right now. It's getting really bad. Oh my god. I can't really go outside. I shouldn't go outside anyway. Our trees are... Oh my... I don't know. They're gonna... Alright, hold on.
Why is the truck still there? That's what I
You can hear that. You can see it. I think you can see it. It's gonna get worse, and I'm not gonna be out here in it, I'll tell you that.
So again, saying it's getting really bad, it's only gonna get worse. Here's the crazy strong winds. You can see the palm trees are like basically sideways at this point. Also, why is your truck still parked out in front of your house? Why is it still there? Does it have to be there? She said in an earlier video that they were gonna move it. It looks like the storm is pretty much upon you. Time to move that truck out of the way. We know you've got a big, beautiful first floor garage. Let's tuck it away in there.
can still see my driveway and I can still see the road, which is a good thing. I don't know how long that's gonna last.
And finally, this was the last video that she updated us with on October 9th as the hurricane was making landfall, and she's again showing the super strong winds and the palm trees. And she did not update again until October 21st. Naturally, as I'm sure you can imagine, I had been checking her account religiously after the hurricane for some kind of an update, and she just didn't post one for like 12 days. And of course, as the viewer, that's concerning. You hope that their family is safe. You don't want their house to be swept away or anything. But she was documenting everything very consistently in the hours leading up to the hurricane, so to have her go radio silent is concerning. There could have been a few explanations for this. The first one, maybe she doesn't have power, maybe she doesn't have cell service or Wi-Fi, and there's no way to update us. Number two, a lot of people were speculating that the damage was so severe that it would have been embarrassing to have to come on and show everybody what happened after talking such a big game about how you're not going to have any impacts from it. Or the third explanation, the one that I think is the most likely, is this is probably an engagement tactic to make people wait, to make people worry, to make them come back and check on her account to drive up the views on those videos she's already posted, but then to also somewhat guarantee another huge flood of views whenever she does post again.
Hey, I'm back. I guess I gave myself a little bit of a timeout. Things got a little crazy. Well, not with me, but it's Sunday. I think it's around 6:30, 6:40, and I'm just sitting here waiting for the sunset because the sunsets are finally coming around to my backyard. They've been blocked by like that end of the street for all summer. For anybody that's been asking, my house is good, great, not any problem whatsoever. Family's great. Life is great. Feeling sorry for a lot of other people and actually been helping a lot of other people. These hurricanes really took a toll. Really took a toll. It was back to back and a lot of people lost everything. So, I mean, you have to help when you can, right? And then nights like this, you just got to appreciate. Thank you for all the people that wished me well. I'm sorry for all the people that wanted me to wash away in the hurricane and die. I mean, sorry that didn't happen. Told you it wasn't going to, but anyway, I'm back and it's so beautiful.
Does anybody believe her when she says that they had no issues whatsoever, everyone's great, family's great? Personally, I think that's a bunch of bullshit. Because why else would you wait 12 days to come onto your TikTok and to take a video of the beautiful sky and everything's great, and she just glosses over everything. Everything's fine, we had no issues, the family's fine. Okay, awesome. Show us. Show us the footage. Show us how everything is fine. Walk us around the first floor of your house, please. I know that sounds really entitled. We're not entitled to see what's going on inside her house, and she doesn't have to share that. I know that. I'm just noting the contrast between Hurricane Helene, where she's showing us all the damage, and now everything's fine. Look at the beautiful sunset. I know I went radio silent for 12 days and didn't update you on everything, but just trust me, we're good. I don't buy it. I don't. How can you have 3 feet of flooding in your house from Hurricane Helene and then have 8 to 12 feet projected for Milton and everything's fine? They had to have had some damage, and my humble opinion is that she's embarrassed to show it. Or I don't know, maybe the hurricane changed course just enough at the last minute so that her house really didn't get hit. Again, I'm not wishing ill will on her family. It would not bring me joy for her to show all the damage. I'm just saying, it feels like she's hiding something. I truly hope that is the truth and that everything is fine. I'm just not fully convinced based on this video. I happened to notice on the day after the hurricane that her account was temporarily banned, which as far as I know, that means her account was was in violation of TikTok's community guidelines. It didn't say exactly why she was banned, but I could see that her account was violating some of the safety guidelines for like promoting reckless behavior and stuff. But what I think is more likely is that her account got banned for violating the privacy and security guidelines that say we do not allow content that includes personal information that may pose a risk of stalking, violence, phishing, fraud, identity theft, or financial exploitation. Sorry about Zeke in the background. This includes content that someone has posted themselves or that they consented to be shared by others. And the reason I think she was banned because of this specifically is because when her account was reinstated and was visible again, that video of her saying, "This is really gonna piss you off," where she's taunting her viewers, that video is gone. Likely because it shows the entire front of her house from the street view. And I've also seen some TikTok videos that I'm not gonna be reposting here of people who have actually gone to this person's house. They deduced where she lives based on the content she has posted, and they've shown up at her house and they've taken video footage of the outside of it to, I guess, confirm for the viewers that everything is okay. Obviously, they're not seeing what's going on inside the house, but it's sort of like the house is still standing, here to report. People are so desperate for an update that they're showing up to her house themselves to do some kind of like investigative journalism or something. Absolutely do not condone that. That's not okay. Do not be showing up to this woman or any woman's house. I can't understand the concern because she didn't post for 12 days after the hurricane. However, we did get somewhat of an update in there somewhere because her daughter spoke out.
Hello, Concrete House Lady's daughter here. I'm here to give you an update because I've been seeing a lot of people claiming to know information about my family and claiming to know my family. It's just not true. The house is fine. The house is not underwater. Everybody in the house is safe. They've just lost power for a little bit, and that was about it. I understand that my mom posted a lot of identifying information about the place that we live, and she has definitely learned her lesson from that. That's why the account got banned. It's genuinely a safety hazard as of this point. There's a lot of people out there that are driving by, posting the address. Like, at this point, it's just very unsafe, and there are people that live there. And these are real people with real lives. That's about all I have to say about this. I hope everybody is safe. I hope everybody stays safe after the hurricane. Whether you were affected by the hurricane or not, I hope you are safe. This is the only comment that I'm going to respond to, but this is me with Blade at the house. Blade is my brother. Yeah, that's it.
So that's kind of all we know about Rich Concrete Lady and her house at this point. Her daughter made a point to say that the house is fine. They just lost power for a little bit, and that's pretty much it. And then several more days go by. The creator herself posts her own video saying that everything was fine. So I suppose that we have to trust that. I hope that's the truth. And I also hope that she doesn't pull this stunt for views again in the future should another hurricane hit her area. This next influencer lives in Sarasota, which is exactly where Hurricane Milton was expected to make landfall. She's living in a mandatory evacuation zone and expecting over 12 feet of storm surge in Sarasota County. But is she going to pack up her family with 3 young children and evacuate? No, of course not. Why would she do that?
I would give y'all a real-time update just about where our mindset is at. It's Monday and we're going into the evening hours. We are taking the hurricane very seriously at this point. It's a category 5. I am most afraid of the wind. I am at home with my 3 kids. My brother's on Siesta Key, so my husband is there helping him completely move out of his house, like get all his stuff out. I'm being honest, I do not think my brother's house will be there anymore after this. You guys know me though. I like to stay positive.
My brother's house is gonna get absolutely leveled and he's not gonna have anywhere to live, but I like to stay positive and we're gonna keep on keeping on with a smile on my face.
We're on the cusp of leaving. Like, we've come this close, but I think we're gonna stay. I think we are going to stay in Sarasota. We already know we could lose power, but we have supplies. We're doing the best we can. And people think it's so easy to leave. It's not. The roads are packed. Hotels are booked. There's no gas. I mean, it's just almost more of a gamble to leave right now than it is to stay. If we leave, we're doing it literally in the middle of the night tonight, so I will keep you updated.
She posted this 48 hours before the storm was supposed to hit, mind you. She had 48 hours to get out, and instead she's choosing to keep her family in arguably the most dangerous location. And not only that, she hosted her elderly grandmother and her grandma's 2 cats to come and stay with her. Grandma evacuated to seek refuge with them. They are responsible for caring for her, and they're refusing to evacuate. I understand the dilemma of roads being busy and resources being limited, but still, you've got 48 hours to figure something out before it makes landfall. Do your best to work your way like 20 to 30 miles inland even. Get out of the damn 12-foot storm surge area with your babies and your grandmother and your pets. Like, what are you doing? I don't know. I'm trying not to be super judgy because I know that there's a lot of different factors that go into this decision, and the longer you wait, the harder it is to leave. But it's like they're not even trying. Like, oh, I heard the roads are busy. I heard there's not much gas to get. Okay, but the mayor of Tampa literally said if you stay in evacuation areas, you are going to die. So why are you not at least trying to get your family to safety? Even if it takes you the whole day to just get a couple dozen miles inland and you have to park your car in a Walmart parking lot or something to ride out the storm, isn't that better than drowning in your own house? If you choose to stay in a mandatory evacuation area, you are not prioritized by emergency services. They can't get to you. If you choose to stay in a mandatory evacuation zone and things go sideways and you call 911, you're out of luck. They're not coming for you. You should have been out of there 2 days ago. So tell me, why is there not even an attempt to get to safety? My opinion, views, attention, and social media engagement. Now this really enraged me. She posted this the night the hurricane made landfall.
I got a message to be on Fox News. I'll be damned if I'm passing that opportunity up. Who says no to that? I mean, come on. But we're in the second half of the hurricane. Okay, so it does sound scary outside. Our power is going in and out. I'm whispering because my kids are right there in that room, like going to bed or asleep. And I'm about to FaceTime with Fox News, okay? Jesse Waters, primetime, if you know. So yeah.
The fact that she is so giddy and flattered at this wonderful opportunity to be on Fox News prime time makes me ill. They want to interview you because of the idiocracy. You know that, right? They want to know what the hell possessed you to shelter in place when the rest of the city got out days ago. It's sick that she's seeing this through the lens of being an exciting opportunity for her.
It's obviously really weird to do stuff like this when your brother just lost everything, his entire house.
Yeah,
so I guess not all the stuff inside because he put it onto a trailer, which thank God. But he doesn't have a home to go back to. And we don't know for sure. We'll know tomorrow when he goes there, but I think it's pretty safe to assume. But then there goes our power. I'm also really excited that I'm about to do an interview with Fox. But also my power's out right now. This is so weird. I'm also trying to stay positive. You know, we have young kids, and there it is. It's back.
Again with this switch from my brother is gonna lose everything. He's not gonna have a home to go back to. But it's all cool because I'm staying positive and I got this cool opportunity to be on Fox News. Excuse me? All this woman cares about is how much attention and exposure she's going to get from being on the news. Later that night, she posted this Instagram reel because things were starting to get scary. Shocker.
I look insane right now because I'm ready for bed. But it's, what time is it?
10:30.
10:30. We are in the worst part of the storm, and
It is bad.
there's no power. It's really bad. It's really loud. I was just on Fox News, and one of my family
Again
members
with the
was
Fox
like,
News.
She looked terrified. I'm like, I am. We obviously chose to stay, and I'm happy with that decision so far. The kids are sleeping, except for this one. But
Pleasure.
it is terrifying. It's okay to still be scared even if you stayed. Everybody in Sarasota who stayed is probably terrified right now because this storm is no joke. You can just hear the house. Oh my God. Oh no. He took Harbor. Is it babies?
It's Harbor. Is that the
Oh
right
look,
word?
he's scared. Daddy let him in. It's loud. One of our window covers is flapping, and one of them we weren't able to get on, and you can feel the window bulging in. We will never not have every window covered. Oh no, oh no. Get away from it. else. Come on, leave it. Yep.
That would be so terrifying to feel like your windows are gonna shatter any second. My sympathy is torn because on one hand, that sucks what they're going through. I wouldn't wish that on anyone. That's so scary. But I can't feel that bad because they had more than enough time to get out and they chose not to. They didn't have to be in this situation. They opted to be in this situation. And here is the kicker, you guys. They did evacuate the next morning after the hurricane was gone. They decided to retreat a few hours away to Orlando because roughing it all night without power was just really hard. And quote, my baby likes air conditioning and warm milk. From the sound of it, it doesn't seem like their house had much, if any, damage, which is reassuring. Again, when I'm checking back on what these influencers are posting in the days after the hurricane, I'm not like hoping that their house got demolished or something. I am glad to hear that everybody was safe. But they did lose power, so they're looking for somewhere to go where they can have access to the modern day conveniences of air conditioning and baby's warm bottles. She's updating throughout the day on her Instagram stories, and she posted saying, we made it to Orlando. Yes, many places were out of gas, but Orlando has gas and power, and I'm so thankful to be here.
Okay, I know we were only out of power for what, 12 hours? Or maybe a little longer. It feels good to see some lights. It feels good to be in air conditioning. I am happy with this decision, and our house still doesn't have power. I was worried we were gonna get here and then our house was gonna have power like immediately, but it doesn't.
Okay, so here's the thing. Orlando is like 130 miles away from where they live in Sarasota. It's about a 3-hour drive with some traffic, so it's likely longer than that with hurricane traffic, so let's double it. Let's say that it takes you twice as long to get to Orlando, 6 hours. Remember that her main excuses for not evacuating was because there's no gas and there's too much traffic, and it would just be impossible to go anywhere. Where are we supposed to go? So tell me why 12 hours after the hurricane has passed, you're magically able to find gas, have no problem getting to Orlando, no problem finding a hotel, and only once the power outage of the storm became inconvenient for her did she decide to evacuate. But for some reason, that wasn't an option a couple days ago when the danger and threat of the storm to her family was imminent. If a hurricane was barreling towards you and all you had to do was drive 6 hours to Orlando to stay in a hotel to keep your family safe, would you do it? I would hope you would. But in her case, if she evacuated, then she would have missed out on millions and millions of views and a Fox News interview. So in hindsight, I bet she thinks that's a pretty solid business decision. At the end of the day, I'm glad her family is safe. I am glad her house is still standing, but the selfishness and the recklessness of this situation really doesn't sit right with me. This next influencer decided to stay in her high-rise apartment building directly on the Tampa Bay, which again, not a smart location for the storm, not a good decision, but at least she's living alone. At least she's not endangering children, pets, and the elderly. This video she posted has 30 million views at this point.
It's 9 a.m. here in Tampa and shit is looking dicey to start. Okay, I decided not to evacuate. I live on the 11th floor of a high-rise building. I'm in the heart of downtown. You know what they say, run from the water, hide from the wind. Water ain't coming up 200 feet, so I decided to stay.
Sure, water might not reach you at the 11th floor and flood your apartment specifically, but it's still going to flood the bottom floor of your building, trapping you inside of it. If the bottom floor is flooded, that means it's nearly impossible to like push doors out against the pressure of that water. So if you need to get out of the building in an emergency, you're jumping from the upper floors and landing in the water and swimming away. Because remember, she's in the Tampa Bay area, 8 to 12 feet of storm surge predicted. I feel like the logic of, oh, I'm way up high, the water can't get to me up here is a very half-baked reason to stay.
But since I am staying, I thought I would give you guys like a boots on the ground live update of what's happening for the next 48 hours, okay? So let me show you what I'm working with right now. So right out there, right behind those buildings, that's the bay.
Oh my God.
And right here is the river walk, obviously. I don't know if y'all can see all the way over there. There's markings where it says where the water's at. So it says 10, 12, and 14, and it's below the 14. And if you can see, all the water is being sucked backwards out towards the bay, which means we are just gonna get absolutely fucking shit on. I was here 2 weeks ago for Helene, and the water was coming up all the way. It covered the river walk right around here. So if they're saying 10 to 15 feet surges, I would not be shocked if it fills this entire parking lot, honestly. I'm now on the rooftop of my building showing y'all what it looks like from like a bird's eye view looking down. So obviously this is the Hillsborough River that leads out into the bay. This right here is Davis Island that got messed up 2 weeks ago by Helene. Right in front of it, this tiny little like dot, that's Tampa General on Davis Island. This is the bay. You can see the storm starting to roll in. This is all gonna be flooded without a doubt. So as the storm progresses, I'll show you guys updates as we go.
I'm not a meteorologist, to be fair, but I believe that the fact the water is moving backwards out into the bay is a very bad sign, because all that water is getting sucked up to feed the hurricane itself, and then all of that water is going to get shoved and spit back out onto land once the hurricane rolls through. That's what storm surge is. That's the biggest threat to property and life if you live on the water.
Hi, I'm coming to you live again from Tampa Bay. I am standing here on the river walk, as y'all can see, and this is what the river currently looks like. I don't like this. The water is moving backwards into the bay, and hold on, let me flip the camera. So right here, I don't know if yeah. Normally it's up in between like the 10 and 12 mark. That is down, if I was to like say, by 16, which means what goes out is gonna come back in, which means to me, this is the Straz Center, which is like the, I don't know, they do like plays and shit there, I don't know. All this water is probably, this is gonna be gone. This is gonna be completely fucking underwater. But this right here, I would not be shocked if it goes up on the street. And hold on, let me show y'all. There ain't a fucking person in this goddamn town. It is me, my dumb ass, and my dumb ass only. That's who's here. And I'm the least qualified person to be reporting about a fucking hurricane when I'm from goddamn Colorado.
It does seem like she's the only person left in the Tampa Bay area, and that's gotta be so scary. It's like post-apocalyptic to be walking around out there in the middle of the day and there's not a soul in sight.
All right, y'all, let's get ready to fucking rumble. It is 5:45 here in Tampa, Florida, Wednesday, October 9th, and Milton has fully pulled the fuck up. Milton is pulling up to the function, getting out the car as we speak. I don't know if y'all can hear, I'll try and be quiet, but there's a lot of wind and it's loud. It's banging against this door. I'm not gonna open this because everybody said like it's gonna create like a wind tunnel or like a wind suction or something. I'm not trying to do all that. Oh, let me show you the trees. Hang on. So the trees are starting to bend and starting to move. I would guess right now, if I was a betting woman, the like gusts are probably around 60 miles an hour. They predict it's gonna go a lot higher as the night goes on. But we shall see. But all I know is that all day I haven't heard this kind of wind, and right now it's loud and it's coming in heavy and thick. So I'll keep y'all updated as I know more, but right now all I know is that it's right at our doorstep.
We've talked a lot about the water and the flooding and the storm surge, but let's not forget the high-rise building is about to get annihilated by wind. The wind got up to 90 miles an hour where she's living, and she has floor-to-ceiling windows on two sides of her with no storm shutters on them. The last influencer we talked about said that one of her windows didn't have storm shutters on it, and the window was bulging inwards with all of the pressure. Yeah, you might not get flooding on the 11th floor, but you might still get water damage if the wind busts your windows in and now it's raining inside your apartment. And unfortunately, she did experience a little bit of that.
All right, it's 12:47 a.m. Thursday, October 10th. My windows failed. So they are creaking and making these like really like weird sounds, and I am taking on water. I'm on the 11th floor. There's a bunch of water coming in. That door is supposed to be completely sealed. It's making, I told you, these really weird creaking noises in every part of my house, but especially by the back windows, and I'm really afraid that the windows are gonna blow. Obviously we haven't lost electricity yet. I have a blow-up mattress and there's outlets out in the hallway, so I'm just gonna go, oh sorry, I'm so fucking tired. I'm just gonna go blow up a mattress in the hallway here. I'll show y'all what I'm working with. Give me one sec. I'm just gonna sleep out here tonight. There's no windows. I don't have to worry about any water or glass breaking. It's not ideal, but it's better than having my windows sucked in or glass being blown at me.
I think that's a really good solution to sleep in the hallway because you don't want to be in your apartment when those windows go. That was the last update the night of the storm, which left people on a huge cliffhanger, like what's going to happen to this girl's windows, but she did post around noon the next day.
It's 11:37, Thursday, October 10th. Here in Tampa, Florida, I am safe. I am safe. I made it through the night. Sorry I didn't update y'all sooner. If I'm being completely transparent, I just recently woke up. Let me give you an update about last night because it got dicey as hell after I put the blow-up mattress in the hallway. And I'm sorry I didn't like update you guys. To be honest, I was just so effing tired. So I'm laying on this blow-up mattress and just you know how when you're like in that like fight or flight feeling where it's like everything is like making you jump and everything's like keeping you awake. So I'm laying on this blow up mattress. Remember, I'm the only one in that hall on this floor. And the lights start flickering. So I'm looking down the hallway and I'm just spooking the hell out of myself, thinking it's like The Shining, like there's gonna be two twins at the end of the hallway, like slowly walking towards me. The lights are flickering. I can hear on the upper floors just like banging, like obviously like a window had popped, or like there was a draft. Something had happened on a higher floor where I can just hear like continuous banging. So that was just like getting my anxiety all high. And so I'm trying to sleep, but like these big bangs would like wake me up. So I never really like fell asleep. Then at about 4:30 in the morning, I hear this like huge bang noise, or like a burst noise. And I can hear just rushing water. Just like buckets of water rushing. And I was like, I don't know if a pipe burst. I don't know if a window broke open. I don't know. And then I'm laying there and I can hear like down the hall, like water droplet sounds. And I look down and there's fucking water coming out of one of the lights. And I was like, oh my God, I don't think it's safe to be in the hallway anymore. I don't know, but I can't imagine that water and electricity at the same time is a good option. I should get back in my apartment.
That's another huge risk of not evacuating a high-rise building like this too, is that maybe your unit is fine, but there's all these other apartments that also have glass windows that it can also break. And now it sounds like you've got pipes bursting and water in the building and the risk of an electrical fire. What if the building collapses? What if it floods? What if it catches fire and you're inside of it? I cannot overstate the danger of what she chose to do by refusing to evacuate.
So I get up, go back in my apartment. My windows are still intact. There is water everywhere. I should have taken a video. I'm sorry. I was so tired. There's water everywhere. And I was like, okay, well, my windows are still intact. Yeah, there's water. I just threw more towels down. And I just like finally laid down at like 5:35 right in there. And the wind had died out a bit and I just passed out. I just fell asleep. And it's that sense of like, you know how when you finally feel safe after like a really like stressful situation, that your body just kind of like collapses. That's how I felt. So I just woke up. I didn't like mean to ghost you guys. I didn't mean to like make anybody think like I'm not okay. I am okay. I'm so grateful and so blessed to be okay. And that truthfully, the worst thing that happened to me during this storm was like water got in my apartment. I lost Wi-Fi. I was spooked. Like there are people that lost absolutely everything. I haven't been outside yet, but just from like my window and looking out, there's trees completely uprooted. There's signs just knocked over. There's street lamps down. I want to go outside here in a little bit and see what all happened, but I am fine. I am safe. I'll do an update on what the city looks like, but just so y'all know, I'm not going to show what anyone's house looks like. That's private. I think that's really fucked up in a moment where somebody's lost everything, using that and being like, oh, look at how bad this is. Nah. But I will show you like city infrastructure that went down for sure. But thank you guys for like keeping me in your thoughts and your prayers. I really, really appreciate it. We made it through Milton.
I'm relieved to hear that she made it out of the storm relatively unscathed, given the risk of what could have happened. And so far, that's kind of the moral of the story in this video. Like, there was a massive risk. They took the risk and things tended to work out all right. But here's an example of when things did not turn out all right. This is another Tampa-based influencer also living in a high-rise condo building, explaining why she's not leaving.
Okay, just wanted to come on, answer a bunch of questions, and getting a lot of messages about why we're staying for the storm, and we're freaking crazy, and I just wanted to say you are not wrong. I understand that we were crazy, but I wanted to explain like our situation and why we're doing what we're doing. So we were in London for a week, okay? And in London, they were talking about the storm, and we're thinking it's just a tropical storm, like not a big deal. We had our youngest son with us in London, but our other two boys live here in a house that we have just 30 minutes north of the beach.
So you have a house 30 minutes away that's further inland, but yes, please go on to tell us why staying in your beachside penthouse condo is the safer choice.
So we had them here. We didn't think much of it because the day we got back, we had tickets to go straight to Vegas anyway, so we were already going to Vegas. Nobody was concerned. It was not a big deal. They ended up like changing the times for this Vegas flight, and so that ended up messing it up where we couldn't catch that flight. So then at that situation, you know, now we're learning that the storm is like a bigger freaking deal. So we decided to book all of our tickets to Houston. My sister lives in Houston, so we're just like, fuck it, we'll just go see my sister. It's not a big deal. Everything will be fine. Well, then we find out this is all happening in the sky, okay? Because we're on like this 11-hour flight. So then we find out that the airport's closed. And we're like, what the hell, why would they close a day and a half, 2 days early? But they did. So the airport's closed. So then our flight's done. So now we arrived back like late last night, and there's no gas in the city. There's literally no hotels. There is no flights, obviously. And then, of course, on top of that, if you are on the road and you try to get away, it's backed up for like literally miles and miles and miles. Like you're gonna probably run out of gas on the road. Not to mention, there's, you know, I have 3 sons. I'm not leaving them, and then they have significant others and girlfriends and stuff. So we're definitely not leaving anyone. So that's like all of us trying to go. It's literally not possible for us to get out. So while we would love to leave, them shutting the airports down early was a problem for us.
This is what I was saying earlier when I think that people dramatize what they think it means to evacuate. The airport was closed, so therefore we couldn't evacuate. No, you're in a 12th floor glass penthouse on the water. It doesn't matter where you go, but you can't stay here. Evacuate to your other house that you have 30 minutes away apparently. Sure, there's traffic. Sure, it might take you a little longer to get there than it normally would, but you would still be far safer in that situation than you would be if you stayed here. Evacuating isn't about getting yourself to a location with 0 storm impacts like Vegas or Houston. It's just about getting yourself to a location that minimizes your storm impacts, because you don't want to be in a high-rise penthouse when your windows blow in, which they do, by the way.
All right, we're moving beds. This is not a good situation anymore. We're going into our safe room now. Here's the fucking snap.
Yeah, I got him.
We're going in our room, our initial safe room that has shutters everywhere. The shutters are moving as well as the windows, so it's not protecting. So now we're going into a closet because we are actually afraid our windows with the shutters are actually going to blow in as well.
I feel the need to reiterate, just because you live in a high rise doesn't mean you're safe from the water. The wind issue is going to cause a water issue for you.
This is going to be a very quick update. We are now in the trash room of the building. Our unit is not safe to be in. The building is swaying. We don't know if this thing's going to fucking collapse. We want to be at ground level so we could run. We are not in a good situation at all.
Run? Run where? The time for running is over. And you probably don't want to be on the ground floor because of the storm surge and because of the flooding. The first floor is like the worst place to be now.
Just wanted to give you guys an update. We're not in the trash room anymore. We don't feel like that's safe either, because supposedly in the back end of the storm, there's going to be a lot of storm surge. And
there you go.
That is ground level. And while, yes, if the building was to collapse, we could run, we could also drown. So we did run into a resident who's lived here a very long time, and he said, this building's not going to collapse.
Oh, phew, a longtime resident said it's not going to collapse. What a relief. That was the last update she posted on the night of the hurricane, but the next morning she posted these clips to her Instagram story.
All of them are fucking breaking.
So it says, last night was so terrifying. I would have never thought I would feel so unsafe up this high. I actually think being up high made it worse. You can see that a lot of the windows are busted in, even through the storm shutters, and the wind is whipping inside their apartment. There's likely water and broken glass everywhere. That is such a nightmare.
Good morning, guys. My hair is blowing in my own living room. It's like I'm sitting outside. Wow. Last night was probably one of the most terrifying things I've ever been through. I never would have imagined that we'd be having to make the decisions that we made last night to like put ourselves in like for safety. Like, it was insane. We haven't gone through everything. There's a lot of stuff we have to do. We're just like still processing. I think we're just kind of just sitting here like, what did we just go through? I will say, I feel like, looking back, I mean, I felt safe in a high-rise condo from storm surge, but they vastly underestimated the power of the wind. And that was so scary. And you have to remember, when you're up higher, the wind is even stronger. And that is something that, you know, I really underestimated. I'm not going to be the girl to come on here and ask for sympathy, play victim. I stayed. I know this. I'm well aware. It's not my personality to begin with, and it's not what I'm going to do. But I do appreciate so much all the support and the love and like the comments and people that were checking in on us. It felt good knowing that somebody knew what we were going through, believe it or not, and sharing that experience, because I think it was so wild to us that, you know, it was important that we showed that. And I also hope, you know, it also paints a picture for people who maybe in the future considering evacuation. Again, we always wanted to evacuate. We chose to evacuate.
Her video cuts off at a weird spot, almost like she was gonna explain again why they didn't evacuate, but then the video just ends. And that last statement she said was really interesting, and I wish that she expanded on it, because she said, we chose to evacuate. But you didn't. You chose to stay in your glass penthouse condo. And you made that choice like a day and a half before the storm even came. There was zero attempt to evacuate, even though you had plenty of time. And the excuse was similar to other things we've seen in this video of like, the roads are busy, there's no gas. But people would rather experience a traumatic night trying to decide where in the building to retreat to so that you don't die, rather than sitting in a few hours of traffic, it seems. Not good excuses to endanger your children and not even attempt to evacuate, in my humble opinion. And to wrap up this video, I have a couple quick examples of other influencers trying to use the hurricane for clout. It's implied that all the other influencers I showed in this video have chosen to stay because they know it's going to get them views and attention. And in the world of social media, the more followers, the more engagement, the more views, the more money you make. So we can kind of assume that maybe that was a factor in their decision to stay. But there were a couple more explicit examples of people trying to make money off the hurricane as well. One influencer posted on her Instagram story, quote, "If I actually die in this storm, my books are going way up in price. Order now." And then she links to her book saying, "My legacy." I get the sense based on this influencer's other content that maybe this is like a dry sense of dark humor that she has. It's part of her whole shtick, but this isn't the time for that, I'm afraid. Know your audience. Some people did die. Some people did lose everything. Now is not an appropriate time to be promoting your books on the back of this tragedy. Trying to capitalize on a natural disaster like that is so tacky, it's so classless, it's so tasteless. That is shameful and very insulting to those who have lost their lives or their livelihoods over this. Similar thing with this example here, although I would not call this guy an influencer necessarily. He's one of those scammy crypto bros that claims to be like a multi-millionaire by 20 or something, and he claims that you can have the same thing too if you just buy his courses with all of his secrets, you know?
For those of you guys that don't know, I live in Tampa, Florida. We're staying, baby. We are staying. Mommy ain't raised no bitch, so we are fucking staying in. It's already starting to flood. Check this out. Already starting to flood and literally didn't even touch down yet, and water is extremely high tide. All of our neighbors are gone. It's literally just us here. I'm not fucking leaving. I'm not fucking leaving. I'm staying, baby. That hurricane's gonna have to take me out.
This guy usually gets a few thousand views on his videos, but this one got 735,000 views, naturally bringing a lot of new eyes to his account, which I'm sure was exactly the goal. Later, he posts a couple of Instagram stories that says, "They'll never take me out. Thanks for the concerns, though. We'll send updates. While you're at it, join my free crypto trading mastermind, link in bio, how I've made multi-six figures at 20. I'll teach y'all as soon as this hurricane is over, I promise." Basically saying, while there's a whole bunch of new people here and I've gotten a whole bunch of new followers, check out my crypto trading mastermind. He does say here that it's a free mastermind, so I looked into it, and it's one of those situations where you like give your information and you get the little teaser for free, but then if you want any of the good stuff, you have to pay him $75 a month. It's like when you download an app for free, but then you can't do anything on the app unless you upgrade to the premium version, basically. He's using his reckless decision not to evacuate for the hurricane to then create viral content out of it in hopes that it's going to funnel people into his crypto trading business. Again, very tasteless, a very bad look. And on that note, that's everything I have for this video. That's all the examples I prepared to show you. However, there are endless examples of this on social media. I could make a part 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of this video. There was so much to go through, and I'm really curious to know what your thoughts are, because I'm sure there's going to be a lot of differing opinions on this video. They should have stayed, they should have evacuated. Who are you to say what they should have done and shouldn't have done, right? And I get that. The decision to evacuate or not, as we talked about at the beginning of this video, is a very nuanced one. I just can't help, as someone who commentates on social media trends and influencer culture and things like that, I can't help myself but to look at it through the lens of like, this is a content opportunity for them. Look at how much their platforms have soared as a result of this. I don't think it's fair to say that everybody who chose not to evacuate for the hurricane made a bad decision or they were doing the wrong thing, but I do think it's interesting to consider the potential motives for these people with large social media followings, given what they have chosen to do with this event. To make video after video after video documenting documenting it like hour by hour, giving updates. It was a total content farm for them. It generated so much engagement and interest that you just have to wonder if that was part of the motive of staying all along. That's everything I have for you for this video, but before you go, I did link a few places to donate to hurricane relief down below. There are so many people that could really use your help as a result of these two back-to-back natural disasters. It's really devastating and upsetting. So I've linked a few resources below if you are in a place where you're able to help. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate you, and I'll see you in my next one real soon.